UDC.
I am happy to talk a little bit about the journey that PG&E is on to enterprise GIS excellence. I work with UDC. We're going to talk about both of our groups, why we're doing the work, how we're doing it, what's happening right now, and next steps. Again, really excited if you guys have questions at the end. UDC is a solutions independent services provider. We're really proud to partner with a variety of utilities across the country and the world. And we have been longtime partners at PG&E. So we're really excited to be a part of this project. That's UDC. We do lots of stuff. If you want to do stuff, talk to us.
My name is Jesse Jennings. I've been with PG&E. It'll be 23 years in August. PG&E, it was incorporated in 1906. The companies predate that into the late 1800s. So why UDC's been around for 20 years, that's cute. We've been in existence for well over 120 years.
It's our 20th anniversary, guys. Yeah! So, it's PG&E's 120th.
We serve a little over 10 million customers in a 70,000 square mile area, which is massive for most utilities. We have over 42,000 miles of gas distribution pipe, 106,000 miles of electric distribution lines. And when you look at our transmission system, we have over 6,000 miles of gas transmission and 18,000 miles of electric transmission. Just
a little bit about the project that we're talking about. The project name, because naming a project is how you get velocity, is called Elevate, because we're taking GIS to the next level at PG&E. So what does that mean? I think one of the things in the industry, especially in the utility industry, that we're always talking about is what is the business driver for this move that we all have to do, right? Like, why are we moving from the platform that we have now to the future state? PG&E, the vision that they have for this is really extensive. There are over 700 mappers across gas and electric, almost 14,000 web viewers. That's just like internal to PG&E, not including any of the external stuff. There's over 6,000 apps published through the PG&E portal. There's 10,000 layers. The numbers are bananas. So what this tells you is that PG&E is already doing GIS, right? It's already embedded in the organization. They're already thinking about it, but it's not that organized, right? So it's been a grassroots technology that people know and leverage. It's really well managed. The IT team is awesome. But you can see that it's big. So the idea is that we're going to take all of this grassroots movement and we're going to turn it into an enterprise solution that's providing value. And one of the things that Very talked about that they're looking to do is move from reactive to predictive. And the idea here is that in our future state, that is what this enterprise GIS is going to allow us to do. Through aggregating, through governance, through helping people understand where their data is, providing authoritative versions of the data, it's going to stop us from having 16 applications that do the same thing and provide the value across the enterprise. Really specifically, PG&E is choosing to do industry standard. That means as close to core software as possible, as close to core processes as possible. They're getting rid of things like customizations and really focusing on making sure when there is data available, that data is authoritative, is reliable, and is repeatable. And I think that's a huge impact to both. I think when we talk about value as a corporation, right, the value is driven not just by reduction in time spent, it's reduction in risk, and it's an increase in our ability to meet our customers' needs before the customers ask us. And that's what this project is designed to do.
A little bit of how we got here. So I like to tell a story. So I mentioned earlier I've been at PG&E for 23 years. So just so you can get an understanding of how far we've come, I started in August of 2002 and I started as an electric mapper. I walk in the office on my very first day of work, all excited, ready to start work. I went to college for AutoCAD. The supervisor at the time, she hands me this container and it has like 8 different pins in there. I'm like, what is this? And she's like, oh, I didn't tell you. So she walks me into this room and it's like 30 feet by about 40 feet. And there's all these metal bins that line the room. I'm like, what could this possibly be? She's like, oh, these are our maps. I'm like, maps? So she goes over and pulls out this map and she hangs it on these hooks there at the top of the container. And they're Mylar maps. So going from college, studying AutoCAD, showing up to my first day, having to draw Mylar, my handwriting was terrible, so I got really good at Leroy, which is the lettering tool that you had to use. So it was like a culture shock for me to go from what I had known to that, to be standing here today talking about, here we are going to the most recent version of Esri, standardizing process at a company of our size and our magnitude to be able to efficiently deliver what we need to deliver for California and our customers. So a little bit about how we got here. We have done multiple GIS implementations. We've been using GIS since the mid-90s in our gas transmission business, but we really hit the ground with GIS after San Bruno in 2011. So our electric distribution, gas distribution systems, they went into GIS after San Bruno. That was the impetus for us to get our records right and get GIS in place. So those were those two implementations there. As-built accessibility, immediately following those initiatives, we said we need to make as-built available to people in the field. So what we did is we went out and we scanned all of our gas service records, scanned all of our as-built records, doc typed them out, and put them in our document management system and enabled that to be accessible to people in the field through their mobile applications. So they no longer had to pick up the phone and call a mapper when they're standing at a service saying, hey, I'm looking at this. They're able to pull up the record to see what was actually happening in the field. And lastly, we did a meter reconciliation initiative. So we took our customer information system, compared it back to GIS, and I can tell you we found thousands of services that we had meters that we were serving, but we didn't have services in our GIS. So we've spent a lot of time cleaning up the data over the years. So what did we learn? The biggest thing for me was our business and IT partnership. So during those GIS implementations, we co-located with IT. The business did. And we had, if there was something that happened, we were able to get up, walk over to the cube next to us and be like, hey, that's not what we wanted built. This is what we anticipated. So then the developer would be like, oh, okay. And they could rewrite the code and we could implement it. So it really drove those projects forward at a velocity that you wouldn't expect for something of the initial phases of a GIS and the amount of change that we were implementing with that first go around. So then we were set up in functional areas. So we have gas, electric, they all own their own GIS and they're all off doing their own things. So our rate cases are independent between gas, the same rate case, chapters are different, the work is different. So they were all marching along doing their own thing with GIS and they were all going towards the utility network. So on the gas side, they did what they call Project Blossom, and Next Gen GIS is the electric version. So they were going out, they were understanding their stakeholders, understanding requirements, trying to figure out how a utility network was going to impact our current systems, what that lift was going to be like. So they started laying all the groundwork on their own. What these two initiatives did is they allowed us to focus on core technology. So how do we centralize that technology? And then data fit for purpose. So when we first built GIS, we added so much data in there, we thought, oh, we're gonna need this at some point. You know, it's been populated once in 10 years. You're not ever gonna use that. So we're really looking at being able to strip all that data out and streamline that model. So that brings us to where we are today, and that's the Elevate initiative. So Elevate's what we're calling our utility network UPDM upgrade. Mid last year, we said, hey, gas electric, we need to make this an enterprise program. Why do we need to do that? We have an SAP initiative that's going simultaneous that is reimagining the way that we work from the ground up. And that means we're standardizing on process everywhere. So we have the most customized implementation of SAP in the world, over 80,000
In the
customizations.
world, you guys. I don't think that's a stat you want.
We're winning at something. No, we're winning at a lot, but that's not the type of award you want to receive. So we're trying to standardize SAP out of the box as much as possible. And what that means is we have to change the way that we work. PG&E is notorious, so we're like, oh, this is how we work. Now let's manipulate the software to do how we work, versus us saying, that's what the software does. Let's change our process to fit software so we can stay with that most current version. So that's the mindset we're taking, is staying as much out of the box as possible. So we enterprised that last year. We went through what we call phase 0, which was our business case. We presented to the board in December, got full approval for the utility network upgrade. I call it a transformation. And then we hit our mobilize phase from January through May, which is really just figuring out what we need to do to hit design running. We just started design May 1st, and we are well underway with that. So what we're doing now is that nice enterprise approach. We're looking at democratizing our data, making it available across all the systems to everyone, having that authoritative data set, because as TJ mentioned earlier, we have thousands of applications. I don't know where they're getting their data. When we're done with this, we're gonna know where they're getting the data. We're gonna govern the way that they manage those systems. We're gonna be like, hey, no one's logged into your system in 30 days, we're taking it down. type thing. So where are we going? I've already mentioned some of this, right? We're establishing an enterprise system. It's our system of entry for all of our assets. It's our system of record for asset location and connectivity. It's the largest system of engagement that we have at the company. So we have over 15,000 people using GIS on a daily basis, whether they're using it to start their work, the mappers posting their work, or the field users out in the field using it to complete their inspections, think gas leak survey, pole inspections, all that. They're all using GIS as the foundation of what they do. Just some numbers here. We have 800 plus citizen developed applications. So we're very heavy in that citizen development space, allowing people to use, we call it GeoHub, to go out and create their own applications, pull in their own data, and it's like the Wild West. You go onto the page, you're like, I don't even know what we have in here. We're gonna start to govern all that and start to put some guardrails on it and tell people how they can or can't use it so that we're able to really streamline what we're doing there. We have over 308 integrations between GIS and all the other systems downstream. And those are just the ones that we know about. Once we start shutting this stuff off, we're going to start to see, well, there's a lot more than 308. Now what do we do? We have over 9 million assets in the electric GIS and over 7 in gas. This is a stat that if I didn't say this, my IT counterpart would probably yell at me. Our current server size for GIS at the company is 1,309, which is 10% of our footprint in our data center. So GIS alone is 10% of what we do. So this kind of brings us to where we're going. So why are we going there? I think everyone has the same reason why we're going there, because Esri told us we had to.
No.
No, because there's a lot of opportunity in this new system to really streamline and cater to utilities and not have to customize to do the things that we need it to do. Esri's taking that on. They've done all the heavy lifting for us. So now we're able to implement what they've given us, and it's really going to move us forward. And like I said earlier, it's that central approach.
I want to emphasize 2 things that Jesse said. One, which is the value of this work is in that enterprise approach. And you're going to see it a little bit later in the presentation. But something that I think is important as we talk through this next step is to understand that PG&E is being so courageous in the way that they're approaching this. They're not just looking at their gas system or their electric system, which would be big because they, as Jesse mentioned, there's 9 million assets on the electric side and 7 million assets on the gas side. PG&E is actually embracing the vision of the future where geospatial data is empowering all the work that they do with their utility. And they're looking not just at those foundational systems. We're also talking about their fiber. We're also talking about their IT telecom. We're talking about their geodata hub and how they share information. So it's truly an enterprise approach, which is really, really exciting and actually how they're going to get value out of that. Because if it was just a direct upgrade, you're not really leveraging the technology. So how are we doing all that? Because wow, that's hard. There's a lot of it. I think we're focusing in 3 areas. The first is business process. And I think I want to mention the project work that we're doing is a partnership with PG&E, UDC, and another partner, PwC. So we're working collectively. The business process is where we're taking that step back. And instead of saying, what do we need? We're talking about what are we doing and why? It's really rooted in the idea that we have the opportunity to transform the work from a like for like to saying, okay, I do this now. Why do I do it? Who's using those outputs? And do I have the opportunity to shift the way that happens to embrace these future leaning technologies? Things like web editing, working in the field. The way that you do that effectively is you capture those requirements. You're saying, who needs this data? What is it serving? What is the purpose? And so that's a really critical component. You're also taking a hard look across those 900 citizen developed apps and all of the things that we've developed and doing application rationalization. How many times have people used this? How many different applications do we have that do the same thing? How can we better serve our customers by being really clear about why these items exist in the first place? We're marrying that with the idea of technology best practice. And this, if you guys work at a utility or work with a utility, this is where things start to get really fun. The enterprise approach is at PG&E, they've decided to do a cloud-first implementation. So all of this work is going to happen in the cloud. But there is a focus, again, as Jesse mentioned, on core technology. What can we do with the systems as they're built? We're doing this not to make people's lives harder, but to embrace our ability to be scalable, flexible, and going forward to support the systems and people at the frequency that they need. Releases in technology are coming faster and faster, and the more that we as organizations resist that, the less capable we're going to be to do things like augmented reality. So having those hard conversations isn't easy, but we're doing it. One of the most important pieces of this whole thing is we all know none of this matters if the underlying data isn't good. So we can build you a cool system that's doing analytics and all the analysis is going to be wrong. So really focused on not just cool tools, but how are we building in the QA/QC to everything that we're doing, both during the project and post-project. What are the processes? Because this is something that the Esri platform is bringing to the table, right? The ability to embed QA/QC in everything that you're doing, so you're reducing manual steps. We want to make sure we're leveraging that. We're building out at a greater scale than ever before. We're having data governance at an enterprise level, application governance at an enterprise level. We're not taking away people's ability to work agilely, but we're making sure they're doing it in a way that everyone can leverage. And I think all of that is purpose-driven. We're doing it because it serves a business need, not just because it's shiny.
TJ mentioned the how we're doing it. So this is who we're working with. So I mentioned earlier, we have an SAP implementation that's going on right now. We call it the Propel program. It's 2 to 3 times the size of the GIS program that we're implementing today. So it's a massive program. It's reworking every process. Everything that we do in that system, they're trying to reimagine how we do it. So we have set up a cross-functional review and architecture board between Elevate, which is GIS, SAP, which is Propel, and we meet every week to talk about the hard questions, functional hierarchy, how are we going to manage leak survey in the future? Like the things that we've been afraid to tackle for all the years, we're at the table talking about it now, which is 10 steps forward. So it's really exciting to be at the company at this time because we're reimagining how we work and we're really setting it up for the next 100 years. So that's SAP. We're doing an ADMS upgrade simultaneously. We're also doing a customer billing upgrade simultaneously. So like all these things are happening at once. So we're setting up and working cross-functionally with all these teams to ensure they're getting the data that they need and we're getting the data that we need between those things. Some of the things that we're looking to implement as part of these initiatives is graphical work design. It's not something we've done really well historically. Mobile as-builting, we do have a few implementations of mobile as-builting with the company, but we're going to push it out to everyone at the company. And then work management. So we're going to set up a schedule and dispatch tool that is across all lines of business. So power gen, hydro, fiber, telco, electric, gas, everywhere will be using the same mobile tools. So how are we doing this? We're working with the PMO. So governance. It slows us down a bit, but it's really what's going to drive us to a much better system in the future. And it's going to drive us to ensuring that people are doing the things that they need to do because everyone likes to go rogue. Value realization. So this is really where we're driving to say, how are we going to return value on GIS? Because when you think about the utility network and just that standard upgrade, there's value there, but not a lot of financial value. We've come up with a lot of transformative initiatives that we're bundling in with GIS to say, hey, what if we did 3D substations? What if we put all of our structures into one layer versus 3 different layers and we're duplicating poles because they're in transmission, distribution, and telco at the same time. So we're starting to pull those things together and you're starting to see those benefits stack up really quickly. And then lastly, change management. TJ mentioned data. She's absolutely right. Data is critical to this. On the people side is change management, right? Like this is a massive change going from where we are today to the new system. The way that we work today, from everyone doing what they want to a more standardized process. I mean, something is like, let's talk about standard symbology. That's a 4-day workshop and like 5,000 people that need to show up to have this conversation. And it's something as simple as symbology. So, or I think it's simple. Apparently
it's not simple. So really quick, this is a work in progress. So what you're looking at is a draft version of the schedule. I guarantee it will not be the schedule that we go live with. It is not like, this is how these programs work, right? This is our vision. This is where we're starting. We're moving towards it. I wanted to put this on the screen because I talked about the scope of the work at PG&E. Really, that's why I want you to see this. I want you to see all of the work streams, all of the vision, and the way that they're really approaching this as an enterprise transformation. We're going to be working through 2030. We're going to start with those enterprise, getting our enterprise GIS applications to the new platform, and then we're going to focus on the transformational work that it's going to enable us to get the value out of the enterprise. Jesse mentioned 3D substations. All of those sort of reality augmentation, right? All of those items that are going to actually help us take this data and make PG&E even more the utility of the future. That's all happening here. This is what's going to go on forever for the next 5 years. I wanted to put this as a cyclical item because I think in transformational projects, it's really important to keep in mind, these are iterative. Like if you think that schedule is going to be our schedule, it won't. That doesn't mean that we're failing. What it means is that we are reacting and continuing to monitor the project. We're still going to meet our timelines. We're still going to provide value, but we're making sure that we're engaging with our partners, that we're finding our scope as we find new requirements. We're making sure that what we're delivering has value. We're aligning that implementation plan to those requirements. We're making sure we have the right team to do the work that we've all agreed that we're going to do. All of that stuff is tracked and monitored so that if somebody quits or if we do something different, we know what's happening. And we are leveraging the governance process to make sure all of those decisions align with PG&E's North Star values and goals. So this is probably the most critical part of the presentation, which is understanding the way that we're working to make all of these things happen.
It's just the continuous change that we need to embrace in this program, and the systems that we put in place, the governance that we have, the way that we look at our scope, the way that we're refining scope on a regular basis. We've built something that's resilient to last the program. So I'm really proud of the way that we've gone about it, because it's when you see it in action, you're like, wow, we're gonna make these dates. I mean, we're looking at 2028 to deploy these things. If we didn't have this, there's no way we would get there. So I'm really proud of this.
UDC